Hello everyone. Once again we are continuing the series of icebergs about members of Malice Miser, with this one being about Tetsu Takano, the band's first vocalist. As you probably know, following his departure from Malice Miser, he has been a part of many other bands, the most notable one being Zigzo. Just like with the Yuki Iceberg, I kinda struggled with researching info on Tetsu. Despite him having a lengthy career, there's really not a lot of info about him out there, though that's probably because of language barrier. I feel like there's probably a lot more trivia to find about him on the Japanese internet. Unfortunately, I do not know Japanese. But I think I managed to find enough interesting entries for this video. Without further ado, thank you to Haitani, Mumblehoney, Remelia, Big Body Igor and Canary Casey for supporting me on Patreon, and let's get into the video. Tetsu was born on December 12, 1972. His English Wikipedia page and various other websites, such as his Skype profile, say that he was born in Tokyo, which would make him the only Malice Miser member to not move to Tokyo from somewhere else. However, his official TuneCore profile claims that he was born in the city of Obihiro in Hokkaido Prefecture. This in turn would make him the only Malice Miser member to come from so far north. His Japanese Wikipedia page actually provides insight into his origin. Quote, born in Obihiro, Hokkaido, he soon moved to Sapporo. He later moved to Sannomaru, Mito, Ibaraki Prefecture, and enrolled in a kindergarten in Kunitachi, but moved to Tokyo after 1 year and transferred to a kindergarten in Sugamo. He grew up in Tokyo but had such a strong attachment to his hometown of Hokkaido that he even listed the fictitious place name Obihiro Tokyo in the hometown section of his profile. Tetsu and Koji are very good friends. They met before Malice Miser at a karaoke bar that they worked at when they were like 18 and 19. Despite them being late teenagers when they first met, Tetsu says that Koji feels like an old childhood friend to him. They remained friends after Tetsu's departure from Malice Miser, but somewhere along the way they had a fight about some trivial thing and they ended up not talking to each other for 2 or 3 years, but they managed to make up. They used to live in the same neighborhood in Tokyo. Koji sometimes attends Tetsu's concerts and he even helped Tetsu fix his storage room or a shed after it was destroyed by a typhoon. Tetsu left Malice Miser after a farewell live show on December 27, 1994. The reason for his departure was simply creative differences. He enjoyed working with the band but he didn't want to be a visual kei musician. In a 2013 interview with Koji, Tetsu was quoted saying, I was with them for 2 years, but because I was the vocalist, I felt terrible for leaving you guys lost without direction. The vocals are the window to what the band is trying to say, and I tried so hard not to destroy Mana's vision, but I felt like I was losing interest and something didn't feel right. The bands I'm in now are completely different from Malice Miser stylistically, and people have a negative image of me, and a lot of people ask, were you actually in Malice Miser? I've never hated the past though. I love Malice Miser, it had a lot of power. When I think back on it now, it was just so intense. Mana was incredibly smart, without thinking of anything else he was able to gather together people who valued the same things. In another interview in 2016, Tetsu said, we members were all good friends. Each concert was like a culture festival and I thought it was fun. But as we got more popular and when we decided on our major debut, I thought, is this the face I want to show the world? On the verge of that debut, I ended up quitting, but pictures from back then keep popping up on the net, so I guess the world is seeing that face anyway. I had a feeling that I really couldn't go on. The debut was this huge thing, but I was starting to think that the makeup thing was getting more and more shallow. Speaking to the extreme, there's a band called Kiss, but when they want to return to normal, they have to lose their makeup. When I looked at the other members of Malice Miser, they were absolutely just like that, and I remember thinking, I'm just so different from them. I talked about it with the members and it was like, you can sell well if you like this, but I think I've got to separate from you guys and I should do it sooner rather than later. Not a lot of people know that Masheri and Shinobuto, some of Malice Miser's most popular songs of the Gagged era, were originally written in the TETSU era. You can find videos of TETSU singing these songs with the same lyrics that Gagged would later sing on studio releases. I mean, the lyrics were changed a little bit, I think. And the Masheri single and the Voyage Sans Retour album credit the lyrics of these songs to the whole band. Mana asked TETSU to participate in Malice Miser's 2018 Deep Sanctuary reunion, but he declined to take part in it, probably because he doesn't feel like returning to Visual Kei. The band then invited Shuji, vocalist of Caligari and Goatbed, to take TETSU's place. Shuji dressed up and stylized his hair similarly to TETSU. Zigzo was the most popular band that TETSU was a part of, other than Malice Miser. He formed it in 1999 together with Ryo and Den, both formerly of Bisexual, as well as with Sakura, formerly of Larkin CL. The band was initially named Malice and Sex as a reference to the members' former bands. The name Zigzo was apparently a streamlined romanization of the Japanese katakana spelling of Jigsaw. The band released 2 studio albums and found some moderate popularity before disbanded in March 2002. The reason for their disbandment is unknown, but it is theorized that it might have been caused by TETSU wanting to, quote, create music outside the restrictions of the major music scene. Zigzo resumed activities in 2011 and then went on a hiatus in 2022. Thank you to Dollface at TETSU Takano Lover for providing info used for this entry in a series of tweets. Music artists that TETSU likes are, for example, Alice in Chains, Led Zeppelin, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Beastie Boys, Jane's Addiction, Nirvana, Tears for Fears, Deep Purple, Prince, Duran Duran, Cyndi Lauper, Culture Club, Metallica, Rainbow and Slayer. As you might recall, Mana is a big fan of Slayer and Kami liked Duran Duran, so that's pretty cute. He also likes the Czech classical composer Antonín Dvořák. When TETSU was a child, his mother listened to artists like The Beatles and Rod Stewart, but he wasn't interested in music back then. He became interested in rock music in 5th grade thanks to an exchange student he became friends with. He introduced TETSU to bands like Duran Duran and Culture Club. In a 2013 interview, TETSU and Koji reminisced about how they used to work at a karaoke bar and stuff like that. The interview was translated by Wandering Fox of the Escape forums. TETSU was quoted saying, "When I was 18, we both worked in the same shop, one after another. I had been there many times when I was in high school, but all the people working there were pretty strict and I thought I might meet some interesting people there. That's why I started working there right after graduation. I was introduced to Koji when a coworker told me, there's an interesting dude here named Koji. When I first met him I thought, I don't like how this guy's looking at me. For example, he was the kind of guy who would pass someone on the road and say, I've seen this person before, and look back at them, but then he would pick a fight with them. He's the kind of guy who would make that kind of misunderstanding. We were always bickering. I thought, man, Koji's cool. And I wanted to make a band with him. I made a bunch of demo tapes and gave them to Koji. After this, Mana asked Koji to invite TETSU to join Malice Miser. Koji also recalled how in the bar, TETSU would hold a broom and dance to Bad Communication by Busy. And I think this is probably that same karaoke bar where Koji met Mana. Tetsu's probably best known photoshoot in the Malice Miser days was taken at the Aoyama Cemetery in Tokyo. Thank you to the Mana's Beautiful World is Forever blog for providing us with photos of that place. Neil is supposed to be Tetsu's solo project, although it functions as a full-fledged band. Music and lyrics to the band's songs are entirely written by Tetsu, so I guess it's kinda like Mana's Moi dis Moi. The project was initially founded in January 1998 following Tetsu's departure from another band, Mega 8 Ball. It disbanded in November of that same year but was reactivated in 2002. According to Wikipedia, the name NIL literally means absolute zero and is an acronym to Native Irreligious Language. Over the past years, NIL has been semi-active with pauses between its activities. They actually released an album in April of this year 2025 and they are going on a tour in mid-September. Afro Skull Records is a record label founded by Tetsu in 2002. Bands signed to it include Tetsu's solo project NIL, as well as his other bands, the June July August, the Black Comet Club Band and Disco Volante. In 1998, Tetsu worked as a delivery guy for a bento restaurant. He recalled that one time while working he got a call from a friend asking him if he wants to attend Malice Miser's first live at the Budokan music venue. Quote, "Malice Miser had gradually gotten huge, and I didn't feel any regret or bitterness about leaving, but I still thought that was awesome." In a Rock and Reads interview in 2018, Mana recalled how back in the Tetsu era Malice Miser had to use 2 cars to get around to music venues. The following quote is from the Mana's Beautiful World is Forever blog. They had to use 2 cars to get around to venues because of the sets. Since they did not have money, they got a used car from an acquaintance of Kami. Mana went to Ibaraki to get it. He opened the door and there was a nasty odor. Turns out there was something rotten inside. Even cleaning it would not remove the smell. The car for the set also had broken air conditioner. Tetsu, the first lead singer, chose to go in that car because he didn't want air conditioning for his throat. In summer, Mana said that when they were next to the car they could see Tetsu's sweat coming off of him like a waterfall. Tetsu and his fellow Zigzo bandmates did a cosplay of guys from Kiss. Tetsu cosplayed one of the band's lead vocalists, Paul Stanley. Thank you to Dollface at Tetsu Takanolover for finding this photo and posting it to Twitter. In 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Tetsu uploaded about 40 videos titled Home Sweet Home We Are Not Alone to his record label's YouTube channel. The videos consisted of Tetsu and his bandmates performing remotely. In 2024, Cantavanda posted a photo from one of Malice Miser's 1994 lives in which you can see Tetsu dressed like a cow. There is no known context for why he decided to wear the suit, but he looks very adorable in it. There are 5 unreleased songs from Malice Miser's Tetsu era: 16 No Solitude, Freeze Me, Portugal, Hakuchu no Waltz, and a vocal version of Zencho. These songs were performed live but were never released on albums, singles, demo tapes and stuff like that. This does not include La Felicia, which despite never being recorded in the studio was released on a compilation album. Nervos was the first band that Tetsu was a part of. Not much is known about them, little to nothing actually. According to VKG, they were active for only a year, from 1991 to March 1992. The only known member of Nervous other than Tetsu was Kyoshi, who would later participate in Tetsu's post-Malice Miser projects. Despite the band being very unknown and existing for only a year, early Malice Miser flyers listed it as the band that Tetsu used to be a part of. In 2011, after the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami of March 11th, classified as the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in Japan, Tetsu started an acoustic trio named Indies Den Ryoku, together with Yoko Utsumi and Taiji Sato. There's some roleplay going on in the band, with Utsumi being referred to as President and CEO, Taiji is a Senior Managing Director, and Tetsu is an Executive Director, and the fans are referred to as employees. Quoting a Sync Network Japan article on the band, as a result of the East Japan earthquake on March 11, 2011, Indies Den Ryoku created awareness for ensuring responsible new energy sources based on region through music. They call this awareness Power Generation Movement. Other than in the disaster area and locations of giant festivals, by 2013 the trio set up Power Generation Movement in 20 locations around the country. Initially I struggled to find a link between the earthquake and Indies Den Ryoku goals of creating awareness of responsible new energy sources, but I think I managed to find out exactly what this means. The 2011 earthquake caused the Fukushima nuclear disaster, the worst nuclear incident since 1986 Chernobyl, which caused over 160,000 local residents to be displaced and resulted in more than 50 people losing their lives due to displacements and tens of people suffering injuries. According to Kazuki Nagata of the Japan Times, quote, "The Fukushima nuclear crisis changed the national debate over energy policy almost overnight. By shattering the government's long-pitched safety myth about nuclear power, the crisis dramatically raised public awareness about energy use and sparked strong anti-nuclear sentiment." Indies Den Ryoku advocated for ditching centralized nuclear power plants in favor of decentralized, region-specific renewable power generation. So probably things like wind farms, solar farms, hydroelectricity and that type of stuff. By the way, the word Den Ryoku literally means electric power, so like Indies Den Ryoku would be independent electric power. Form Deros was a short-lived visual kei band active from around 1993 to 1995. Tetsu and Koji participated in one of the band's lives in 1994. You can find an audio recording of said live on YouTube. The video claims that Mana also participated in this live as a drummer, but I didn't find any proof of this on any other site. Notably, during this live, Tetsu and Koji covered Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit. And that would be it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed watching it. It took me a bit longer than usual to do research for it, so once again I really hope the entries I chose were interesting enough for you. Anyway, next iceberg will be about Koji, and the one after the Koji one will be a revamped Mana iceberg, so stay tuned for these two. Again, thank you to Haitani, Mumble Honey, Remilia, Big Body Igor and Canary Casey for supporting me on Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.